Hello and welcome to this short introductory webinar to our Adapt and Tempbuddy integration. In this particular webinar, we're going to be looking at these menu items that you see in front of you, how Adapt and Tempbuddy work together. Adapt playing the role of your CRM and where all your information is stored in depth about your candidates and clients. And then, of course, that linked up with that specialist temp booking system, Tempbuddy. So here we are in Adapt to start with. You'll have a login for Adapt and a separate login for your Tempbuddy. You'll see that both of them are operating within the same browser. There's my Adapt and there's my Tempbuddy. So very quick and easy to switch between the two. Now this webinar is going to cover an overview of how the two systems work together. You will, of course, receive full training on the integrated processes and how to do every process in each of the systems. So don't worry about that. We're just going to give you an overview today. And that overview is going to start with us showing you how to add candidates, clients, and contacts. And of course, getting those then across from Adapt into Tempbuddy. So creating a candidate in Adapt, of course, you can use the CV import method available through My Adapt and CV import, making sure that you set out the scheme as a temporary candidate when you go to upload them. The other way to do it, of course, is through People and New Candidate. And in here, we're going to recommend you fill in, of course, the mandatory boxes outlined in red here. But it's also important for consumption into Tempbuddy that the address is there and accurate, including a postcode. And over here, you make sure that they default to temp candidate. Things like date of birth and national insurance number can be added here or once that candidate is set up in Adapt or in Tempbuddy. So once those details are filled in, then we can hit confirm to create that candidate in Adapt. And there we are. That's displayed now in Adapt. Now we also recommend with this integrated setup that you're going to manage your compliance in here before sending them into Tempbuddy. Now that of course depends on your business requirements, but to be able to manage compliance in here, you're going to go to the compliance and onboarding page in the record, where you can then add items or packages. And again, all this will be covered in training that you receive. I'm going to add in the ID check that I've seen, and of course, add in the date that expires. Once I hit confirm, that will add that item of compliance where I can then update it. Now, this is important because when it comes to viewing this candidate in Tempbuddy, because of the expiry date that I've put there, that will show them available until, which means that nobody who is non-compliant will be able to be placed into jobs in Tempbuddy where you'll be working. So that's the compliance item in. Anything else that you need to do according to your business, you will do here. And then, of course, once they are compliant, we can send them to Tempbuddy. Now, to do that, we need to go to our Activities menu and General and change the status. Now, the trigger is active. So once we make them active and hit confirm, this will send them across to Tempbuddy. Now, also to remember here, when you do this, the candidate will also receive to their email address an automated email which will include a link to download the Tempbuddy app and hold details of their login name and initial password that they'll be asked to change when they log in. So do be aware that once you click confirm, it's going to do all of those automated processes. So there we are, that's the status changed. Now this updates in real time. So I'm going to go to Tempbuddy right now, and I can go to my search bar and I can type in And there we are. Stephanie is there straight away. By clicking on her name, we'll be able to look at her created record in Tempbuddy. And you'll see here that the information has pulled through. The areas I didn't fill in, national insurance number and date of birth, I can edit those through here, or of course go back to adapt and edit them. It will update both. Now, once we're in here, there's a very small amount of things that we need to do. We have got the allocation of a category to them. Now, I can only have one in here. So I'm going to go down and select industrial. But then with regards to tags, these are all our skills and job titles that we can then put against this particular candidate. So I know, for instance, that Stephanie has the picker and packer skills, and she's worked as a warehouse assistant and warehouse operative. She can also use Word and Excel. So you can see here that you can type in and select those tags to go against your candidate. Those will not be transferred onto the front page of your Adapt record where skills and job categories are on that particular one. But the idea is here is that you're going to be using Tempbuddy for all of your candidate matching and where you're going to be looking and searching for them by those tags. So it's best to have them in here. Other pages and functions that we have within this record here will be shown to you in formal training. Next up, let's see how our clients and contacts get in. So again, I'll show you here right away. Straight back to my Adapt, very quick and easy to do. And of course, we can go to companies. And then we recommend using Quick Client because Tempbuddy needs a company and its details and a contact for that record to be created. So we recommend using Quick Client because you can add all of those details in here. Again, we've got our red boxes, mandatory fields, but please also consider filling out the postcode, city and town, and also down here, importantly, the telephone number for your contact and their work email. So once you've filled those details in, company and contact, when you hit confirm, that will then, of course, create that record in Adapt. Both the client record and the contact record here, as you can see. Now, just like our candidate, we will need to make this company active. You'll notice that the contact is already active, but the status here on the client is incomplete. So we need to change that to push them through to Tempbuddy. Now, again, when we do this, there may be a setting switched on in the settings in Tempbuddy, and this can be managed by you, that when we do this, it will send out an automated email to the client to say, you're now able to access Tempbuddy, and their clients have their own portal where they can view who's working there and approve timesheets. So that's important, again, to remember when you do this, that automated email will happen. So let's make them active and hit confirm. And again, in real time, that will now be updating Tempbuddy. So let's have a look. Clicking on Tempbuddy at the top there, obviously we've still been looking at Stephanie's record. We can go up to our search here, and there we are. Berry distribution already arrived, which is great for distribution, in our Tempbuddy system. Now within here, you can see the information has pulled across. We can see our contacts here. There's Marco. We can also see locations. Now within Tempbuddy, you do have the ability to add further locations. So these could be linked branches or other locations associated with their main address. These are not created back in Adapt as separate clients or linked. So do bear that in mind. Solely really used, therefore, when you're booking jobs at certain locations. There's a whole load of other great things in here that you can do. Those will be covered within your standard training. So we've put our candidates on. We've put our clients on. Next thing to do is put those things together in some wonderful jobs and assignments, and that's all going to be done in Tempbuddy. So here we are in the client record, but within Tempbuddy, we're going to go over to the Jobs menu on the left-hand side and click Add New Job. Then we're going to specify our client name, and we're going to stick with Mary here and selecting that from the list. It'll pull through the address of the location and the list, of course, of the contacts that you have there. You'll notice that we've got a 6-step process for adding and matching candidates to this job. Moving to the next one, we can then start filling in what we need to with regards to details on the job. Purchase order references can be added, and of course, by clicking on the start date, this is where you're going to highlight what needs to be worked. So let's say this particular warehouse looking for people to work on the late shift today. So they're going to be doing 12 until 8. So I can click and then drag down to cover the times that I need to, and you can see 12 until 8 is there. If I need to edit that, I can do there. I'm also able to just click and drag to extend it or reduce it. I can even just pick it up and move it in its entirety. And one extra nice little feature, if they're going to be doing 12 till 8 on Saturday as well, I can just move that across. In fact, even if they're going to be doing 10 till 6, I can then move that one like so. If I'm planning into next week, I can click on to then add in next week's shifts as well. All sorts of variety of things that you can do here will be covered in your training. Once I click done, that would have added those dates and times in. I can then use advanced to put on any timesheet restrictions or guidance that I want, and also either force or not force the taking of a picture on arrival. Number of positions, there we go, I can specify that. I've got the job location and a little description box here. Ideal for little guidance notes here about when people are turning up on site. Now this will come through onto the email that's going out to the candidate with all the job details on. So a great way of putting in there little things such as where to report to. Moving on to step 3 is where we're going to look at adding in our pay and bill rates. Now, if there's any templates set up in the background, some rate templates, then you can select the template here and that will pull through the details. That's done by people with admin rights within Tempbuddy. Other than that, we can go in and we can have our starting point and lock it down. So if we've agreed a bill rate or charge rate with the customer, we can go in and then we can lock that field. So that one won't change, but the others will once I do this. Add in a markup. I might say, okay, well, I want to try and achieve 20% there. You'll notice that that has now altered the pay rate. I can then add in my on costs, like so. And once hitting confirm, that's now going to work it all for me. And sadly, my markup is now as a minus. So I still want to make some money on this. So I'm going to put in 20%, meaning my pay rate is coming out at $8.97. You'll see projections of gross profit and total revenue on there. Moving on to next, it'll just ask me, am I sure? Well, of course. And then here, approvers. So without an agency approver there, that means anybody at the agency can approve or process those timesheets. It doesn't need an extra layer of approval by a specified person. However, with the client one, again, we're going to add that person as the selected client contact to approve those timesheets. Hitting next will then allow me to, what criteria do I want to match candidates on? The flow to this is putting the job on, and as we're seeing through here, and it's going to end up with us being able to have a list of people who are not only suitable for the job by the tags and things that we put in, but also people that are available as well. It's going to check all of those things for us. When I click next, this is where I have my choices. And again, these will be going into more detail within your training. But I'm going to add in an expiry date that of tomorrow that I can assign people to. And then I've got don't match, save only, match, advertise, and assign a candidate. So lots of great choices there depending on how you want to work. I'm just going to show you on this occasion matching candidates to that job. So when I click finish, that puts the job on and produces a list of suitable candidates for that particular role. Now I've just searched on industrial and pick a packer. I can, if I want to, also search by location or filter that down. And here's my list of suitable people. And there's Stephanie that we put on a moment ago. Now, I have several choices here that will be covered in training about how I can communicate, but I do have, as an overview, the ability to tick all of those people and send them a, do you want the job or not? I can send them a, are you interested in this job? Please apply. And I can also, if I know who I want to be putting in there, select the person and then assign them directly into the job. So here we are. This is going out to Stephanie. There's my description. I can put any more comments as well. I've got an auto-confirm client and auto-confirm candidate. Now, obviously, usually you'd want to put that as a no because you want the candidate to accept. But if you just want to book someone straight in because you've already spoken to them, you can actually confirm that yourself and put those in there. When I click yes, that will then generate the email that's going to be going out to Stephanie, and of course, the other notifications as well. There we are. I can attach any files that I need to, but I don't need to attach any how to get to the place because that's all going to pull through to the candidate via their app. And you'll get to see that, of course, when you get trained. Lots going to be happening on that. So there we are. I filled one of those positions, and then I can just move on to fill in the next one right here. How do I see how that is going? Well, the scheduling and roster view will help me manage those. So we can see in here, there's my berry distribution, and I can see that Stephanie is booked in, and I filled 1 out of the 4 positions. Another key aspect of this is where you're going to manage the day-to-day. So within that roster view, you can manage assignments being extended, being reduced, numbers changing each day, booking and unbooking. In here, within our day book, you're able to see a list of people who are scheduled to go to work on that day. You can use by daily or weekly, the times they're meant to be starting, and this will also show the statuses of those people. So for instance, if someone's running late, it will be able to let you know that that's running late. If they've checked in and they're working, or if they've finished work, it'll be able to let you know all of those things. Now, once the week has ended and the assignments for that week are complete, there's an automated timesheet process. So those will be sent out to the candidates, and depending on settings in the system, they'll be able to edit and submit their timesheets. Now, once they are submitted, the process that you would then go through is to make sure that approvals are done. So that's by the candidate and by the client, before then being able to export or process timesheets through the system. Now, of course, all of these things that we've been doing in Tempbuddy, what do they look like in Adapt? Well, let's have a quick look. So here we are back at Berry, and we can see that all the activity that we've been doing in Tempbuddy has been recorded here in the journal in Adapt. So we can see when the job was put on, rates being added, and shifts being booked. And you'll notice the recruiter here says T-Prism. That's just the name of the piece of software that helps Tempbuddy and Adapt talk. So you can see that all of these things, wherever you're doing them, are being recorded elsewhere. Now, there are certain things that are not recorded, and those are going to be highlighted within your training. Now, we spoke about timesheets briefly. Now, any timesheets that are processed, authorized, etc. within Tempbuddy, let's have a look about how those will be shown in Adapt. So in Adapt, they'll be copied back into the associated journals. So you'll see in here the timesheets have been run or copied back. You'll also obviously see those within the individual candidates as well, of course, because that'll be relating to them. And then you've got your temp job with your assignments in there as well. So once all that's been run, and again, you'll only see that once you'll get set up and running to get all those processes done in Tempbuddy to make that happen back in Adapt. But ultimately, the way that works, your booking system through there, your getting of the timesheets all automated, all electronic, and just being able to process them on your system here. So there we are. That's your quick overview of our introduction to our Adapt and Tempbuddy integration. Hope you enjoyed, and good luck using both of those.